Have you ever heard of Dr. Copper? Yeah, they call it that because it's supposed to have a PhD in economics. Its price is this amazing predictor of where the global economy is headed. Well, right now, Dr. Copper has a raging fever. And we're going to dive into this story of a metal that's sending a massive signal about our future, starting with a billion-dollar mystery.
So, picture this. A company builds a brand new, state-of-the-art $1.2 billion copper smelter. It's this gleaming engine of industry, ready to go. But instead of humming with activity, it's almost silent. Why on earth would anyone spend a fortune on a factory they can't even run?
All right, to get to the bottom of this, we need to go to Gujarat, India. We're looking at the Kutch Copper Plant, a huge, ambitious project by the Adani Group. You see, this plant was supposed to be a big deal for India's dream of being self-reliant in metals. But the moment it opened its doors, it slammed right into a massive wall.
And when I say a massive wall, I mean it's just staggering. In its first 10 months, the plant only managed to import about 147,000 tons of the raw material it needs. That's copper concentrate. Now, that might sound like a lot, but here's the kicker. It needs 1.6 million tons to run at full speed. That's less than 10%. The factory is literally being starved.
Now you might be thinking, okay, maybe it's just a tough year for everyone in India, right? Well, nope, not at all. Just look at their main competitor, Hindalco Industries. In that exact same 10-month window, they brought in over 1 million tons of concentrate. This shows you, plain as day, that Adani's problem isn't just a tricky market. It's a full-blown supply crisis, and it's hitting the new kid on the block the hardest. So the real question is, where did all the copper ore go? To find the answer, we have to zoom way out from that one factory in India, because this story is really about a chain reaction of catastrophic failures all over the world. You see, Adani's empty factory, it isn't the disease. It's just one symptom of a much, much bigger problem, a massive, totally unexpected global supply shock.
In 2025, the world's copper supply chain basically got hit by a perfect storm. I mean, everything that could go wrong did. A fatal mudslide at the Grasberg mine in Indonesia, we're talking the second largest in the world, forced them to declare force majeure, which is basically a legal way of saying, we can't ship you anything. At the same time, halfway across the world in Chile, the giant El Teniente mine had tunnels collapsing. One after another, the biggest producers on the planet saw their output just plummet, creating a worldwide drought of raw copper.
And you can actually see the panic in the market's vital signs. There's this key number called treatment and refining charges, or TC/RCs. It's basically the fee a miner pays a smelter to process their ore. Now, when there's plenty of ore to go around, those fees are high. But right now, they've completely hit rock bottom. It's the market literally screaming for raw material. Smelters are so desperate they're willing to work for almost nothing just to get their hands on any ore they can find.
Okay, so on one side of the equation, you have this historic supply crisis. The shelves are bare. But at the exact same moment, the other side of the equation is just exploding. Demand for copper isn't just growing, it's being supercharged by the two biggest technological revolutions of our lifetime.
The green energy transition, solar panels, wind turbines, the whole shebang, is incredibly copper intensive. Same goes for the electric vehicle revolution and all the grid upgrades we need to support it. But now, there's a new giant consumer in town, the absolute explosion of data centers for artificial intelligence. Every single one of these pillars of our future runs on copper. They're all thirsty for it. And that brings us right back to India. With all this going on globally, India's own domestic copper consumption jumped by a wild 9.3% in fiscal year 25. This is what a supercycle looks like, folks. It's this violent collision of collapsing supply and surging demand. And it creates a really high-stakes game for any company trying to play.
So, while Adani was building its massive, shiny new smelter and basically just hoping the raw materials would show up, another Indian company, Lloyds Metals, made a completely different and pretty daring bet. They decided, forget building the factory first, we're going straight to the source.
Okay, so let's break this down, because the choice of strategy here is everything. Adani built the factory first, which meant they were totally exposed to a feedstock shortage. Exactly what happened. Lloyds Metals, on the other hand, went out and bought the source of the raw material directly. They acquired a major stake in copper mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Sure, they took on geopolitical risk, but they guaranteed their supply.
And the analysts? They saw this as a genius move. One research firm called it a transformation from a one-trick pony, because Lloyds was mostly focused on iron ore, into something way more resilient. A stable, multi-mineral resource owner that's plugged right into the future. It's the perfect hedge against the very crisis that crippled its competitors.
So what does this all mean for the big picture? I mean, this is more than just a story about two companies making different bets. The copper fever of 2025 is rewriting the rules for what we've always seen as our most reliable economic barometer.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Look at what the big banks are predicting. JP Morgan thinks copper prices could peak at $12,500 a ton in 2026. Bank of America is forecasting a super strong average for the whole year. Dr. Copper isn't just signaling a short-term illness. It's diagnosing a long-term, structural change in the global economy.
Which brings us to the final, massive question. Our world is being fundamentally rewired by AI and green energy. And all that new wiring is made of materials like copper. The story of Adani's empty factory and Lloyd's African bet, that's just a preview of a much larger, global race that's just getting started. So as this new era unfolds, who's going to win the race to control the essential materials that power it all?